Okay, let's unpack this. Mergers and acquisitions M&A. It's really the ultimate high-stakes gamble in the corporate world, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
The entire premise is that the financial value of the combined whole, the new company, has to be greater than the sum of its independent parts.
Right.
And that difference, that little bit of extra value, that's the synergy everyone is chasing.
Exactly. And while, executives and bankers spend months, sometimes years, generating these incredibly complex financial
This
models,
is spreadsheets.
the spreadsheets, exactly,
hmm
they're running all these mathematical equations to try and measure that potential synergy during the planning phase.
Mm.
And our sources definitely reference that analytical complexity.
But the real challenge isn't the calculation, is it?
No, not at all. It's the execution.
It's the moment of truth. So you've successfully closed the deal, but now what? Now you own two separate operational entities, two different customer bases, and probably two very distinct ways of doing business.
That's it.
How do you actually turn that theoretical synergy from the spreadsheet into real measurable value? Especially when the customer is the one who, bears the brunt of all the chaos.
And that's where the focus of this deep dive has to lie. We're looking at the tactical business and technology strategy that you need, like immediately post M&A.
Okay.
We're focusing specifically on how customer experience, or CX, and an integrated technology strategy can be leveraged to actually realize that synergy value.
So this isn't about, say, integrating back office finance systems 5 years down the
Now,
line.
this is about the immediate. It's about rapidly integrating how customers interact with the new combined company to prevent, immediate value destruction.
So our mission today is to move beyond the spreadsheet. We need to define the three core areas where this M&A synergy must manifest, according to our source material, and we're doing it by leveraging technology and operational CX integration.
Precisely. We need to demonstrate synergy across three main pillars. First, and this one is so critical, is increased long-term customer lifetime value, or CLV.
That sounds like the defensive play.
It is. It's about retaining the combined existing base and growing their spending over time. If you fail here, everything else just collapses.
Okay, so once you've protected the base, what's next? The offensive play.
The offensive play. Increased net new sales growth. This means leveraging the merged entity's new scale, its combined data, and its bigger product portfolio to go out and conquer new market territory and accelerate customer acquisition.
And the third piece.
And third, the strategic transformation. Accelerated top line and operating margin growth via new offerings.
So this is about creating something totally new.
Exactly. It means using the combined capacity, the new scale and expertise to create new holistic solutions that neither company could have offered on its own. And that often means shifting the whole business model in the process.
That's a really powerful, sequential, three-part objective. But before we dive into the strategy to hit those targets, I think we need to establish the boundaries of CX in this context. Because when we say CX, we mean more than just like a glossy website refresh.
Oh, much, much more.
We're talking about massive operational integration.
We are. When we talk about CX in the context of post-M&A strategy, the scope is comprehensive. It spans the entire enterprise. It involves every single line of business that touches the customer.
So sales, service.
Sales, service, marketing, e-commerce, general customer management, all of it. This is not surface-level interaction design. It's about deep operational integration that touches every single system supporting those interactions. If we ignore the systems that underpin that customer journey, the whole structure is just, fragile.
Okay, let's get tactical then. Our source material breaks down this comprehensive scope of CX into three core end-to-end processes that organizations have to analyze and harmonize after a merger.
Right, and this isn't really a suggestion. It's more like a mandate for success.
So let's start with the first one, getting the customer in the door and, crucially, getting paid.
That's the campaign to cash process. This covers the entire journey. Starting from the very first moment an unknown prospect is engaged by marketing, all the way until a completed order is fulfilled and the revenue is formally booked.
And in a merged environment, this process suddenly doubles, triples, or even quadruples in complexity. You're combining two separate methodologies, two different data sets, separate systems.
It's a huge challenge.
So tell us the key steps that absolutely have to be harmonized within that process.
Well, it starts with the absolute basics: identity, access, and data management. We have to achieve customer identity, registration, access, and onboarding management.
Meaning you need a unified view of who the customer is, regardless of which legacy company they came from.
Yes, if a single customer interacted with company A under one account name and company B under another, the combined entity has to resolve that conflict, and it has to do it instantly.
Which is so critical for everything that follows, like market targeting and personalization. I mean, if I'm sending a prospect marketing material for something they already bought from the other side of the merged company,
That's an instant synergy failure.
total failure.
Absolutely.
Oh.
So once that identity is resolved, the process moves into the core sales cycle.
Hmm.
Segmentation, targeting, positioning. This is followed by campaign management, lead management, opportunity management, and quote management.
So the whole front office sales experience.
The entire front office experience, the whole configure, price, quote, offer, and proposal management chain has to be unified, culminating in order management.
I can see the immediate front office complexity there. You've got two different sales methodologies, probably two different CRMs, maybe two quoting systems. But the source highlights that this entire front office process has to integrate seamlessly with the back office.
Yeah.
And that, to me, sounds like the real operational breaking point.
It is the breaking point for so many mergers, and it's where customer trust is just destroyed. If you can't connect that complex front office process campaign to cash to the back office functions, the customer experience falls apart and your costs just skyrocket.
So what specific back office functions are we talking about here? The ones that have to speak, instantaneously to the front office?
We're talking about sales order to cash, logistics, finance, inventory management, and critically master data management.
Okay, give us a concrete example.
Let's say Company A merges with Company B. A salesperson from Company A uses their legacy quoting system, which has been, hastily integrated into some common front end.
Right.
If that legacy system can't speak to Company B's separate inventory system in real time, the salesperson might quote products that are suddenly unavailable.
Or worse.
Or worse, fulfill the order incorrectly because of mismatched master data codes for the products. That immediately destroys the promised synergy, and it absolutely guarantees customer frustration.
Yeah.
The integration here is completely non-negotiable for success.
That makes perfect sense. So if campaign to cash is about getting the deal done, the second core process is about keeping the customer happy and making sure they stick around after the deal is done.
Which is service problem to resolution.
Right.
This covers the full service lifecycle.
Right.
It begins the moment a customer initiates a service problem, or even before, really, if you think about proactive service or self-service platforms.
And the harmonization requirements here must be immense.
They are. You need to manage omni-channel service interactions, from call center telephony to chat, apps, and social media, and you have to ensure consistency in service ticket engagement and customer service case management.
I can't imagine anything more frustrating for a customer. They previously bought from one company, now they're calling in about a product serviced by the new merged entity, and they get told their service record doesn't exist in the new system.
Or that the warranty they had is now confusing because the terms were slightly different between the two companies.
Yes.
That is the customer attrition risk we absolutely have to mitigate. This process requires unifying several critical back-end domains: resource scheduling, field service, asset management, and warranty programs.
And the logistics of service parts must be a nightmare.
Think about the massive logistical undertaking: service logistics, repair, and return management. If Company A used one set of third-party distributors for parts and Company B used a different set, that harmonization, which often involves combining physical distribution centers and IT systems, is mandatory to deliver a unified experience.
And critically, you have to support the service agents themselves. They need the data right at their fingertips.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, especially in service. The entire system relies on a common, accurate knowledge management platform. And just like campaign to cash, this full service cycle has to integrate with back office operations.
So service order to cash, logistics, finance.
All of it. Inventory management too. A unified service experience is impossible if the frontline agent can't instantly see inventory for service parts or verify the warranty status pulled from a unified master data system.
The moment an agent says, I have to transfer you to the other department because their system is different.
Synergy has failed. The merger has failed in the eyes of that customer.
Okay. That brings us to the third core process, which really defines the modern transaction landscape, especially in B2C and, increasingly in B2B.
Commerce to delivery.
Right. E-commerce.
This focuses on the full e-commerce experience across all channels, what we call omni-channel commerce.
Mm.
When two organizations merge, they typically have two separate digital storefronts, two separate ways that products are configured online, and two different approaches to how products are marketed and sold digitally.
So what are the primary, most crucial technical elements that have to be brought together here?
The foundational elements include web and product content management, making sure there's consistency in how offerings are described, priced, and displayed. Then, features like promotions, offers, browse, and cart functionality, and the overall e-commerce storefronts have to be unified. The sources specifically mention the need to support headless commerce.
Headless commerce. Why is that separation so useful in an M&A context?
Well, it's important because it separates the front-end presentation layer, so what the customer sees, from the back-end transaction logic. This allows for flexibility in the front-end presentation and branding. You can maintain distinct, recognizable storefronts at first to avoid immediate customer shock, while you rely on a single, unified transactional core in the back.
So you get the harmonization where it counts, like in order fulfillment and data, without forcing these immediate disruptive brand changes on the customer.
Exactly. It buys you time and reduces risk.
But the transaction itself is still complex, especially when you're dealing with two separate logistics operations coming together.
Correct. You need unified systems for digital payments, for available-to-ship visibility, so the customer knows immediately when and how their product will arrive, and for fulfillment that can handle that online-offline mix.
So it doesn't matter if the order is shipped from legacy warehouse A or legacy warehouse B.
To the customer, it shouldn't matter at all. They need a single unified tracking experience, a single invoice, and a single point of contact.
And you mentioned EDI, tying this all back into the big operational flow, especially for B2B.
Yes, EDI management, or electronic data interchange, for sales orders is essential here. EDI is the standard electronic format used to exchange business documents between companies' orders, invoices, shipping notices.
And if company A and B use different EDI providers or formats.
Combining that flow is a non-trivial task. It directly links your commerce platform back to core logistics and finance. So if you look at the entirety of these three processes, campaign to cash, service problem to resolution, and commerce to delivery, they really show you that CX synergy requires harmonizing dozens of systems.
It's everything from front-end self-service portals all the way back to master data management and logistics.
It's a multi-year undertaking that you have to condense into a few critical months.
That is a lot to harmonize, and it really illustrates why M&A failure rates can be so high if leaders only focus on, say, cutting costs and ignore the fundamental integrated customer journey.
Precisely.
So if this is the challenge, let's start addressing the first major synergy goal: maximizing the value of the existing customer base, or that long-term CLV.
To maximize CLV, you have to start with a fundamental integration, putting customer data as the center of the universe. You just cannot grow the value of your combined customer base until you know exactly who that base is holistically and what they have bought from both sides of the merged entity.
And what's the immediate obvious benefit of merging those two, disparate customer lists? It's more than just having a longer list of names, right?
Oh, much more. Post-M&A, the primary high-value benefit, is gaining a holistic 360-degree view of the expanded customer base. This drives insights for enhanced CX, and crucially, it enables key financial goals like upsell and cross-sell opportunities across the merged entities.
So if company A's customer has never bought company B's complementary product, now you have the data to target them accurately.
With an informed, non-redundant message, yes.
Okay, so if the customer data management platform, or CDMP, is the imperative, what are the actual technology building blocks we need to focus on? What's the technical spine we need to construct?
Our sources detail 8 core technology components that organizations must enable common platforms for to truly build a unified CDMP. And we should probably walk through them because this really is the backbone of the entire synergy strategy.
Let's do it.
Okay, starting from the basics. We need unified identity, access, and authentication management. This seems simple, but if customers suddenly need to log into 2 different systems to manage their accounts, you've instantly created a negative experience. This has to be seamless.
Right. And then, I'm guessing, customer registration and onboarding.
Exactly. A clean, consistent process for capturing new customers into the unified system, making sure all new data conforms to the new merged data model.
And then there's the legal side.
Third is regulatory and relationship management, consent and preference management. This is absolutely critical post-merger because The compliance requirements for handling customer data, think GDPR or CCPA, may have differed between the two original companies.
And reconciling two different legal consent policies sounds incredibly complex.
It is, but you need a single source of truth for what you are legally and ethically allowed to do with their data before you can even think about marketing to them.
And the output of all this difficult cleaning, merging, and legal reconciliation is the really valuable fourth item, creating a golden unified customer profile.
This is where the magic happens, but it's also where the data scrubbing nightmares begin. The golden profile is the single, accurate record of the customer
So it requires complex data mastery to resolve conflicts, remove duplicates.
and integrate historical transaction and interaction data from both legacy systems. For instance, what if company A tracked a customer's address by zip code +4, but company B only tracked the basic zip code? You have to align every single field.
That sounds like a multi-year data governance project. Can a golden profile realistically be achieved in the short-term window you need to realize M&A synergy?
Well, it's rarely perfect immediately, but you have to prioritize the data fields needed for immediate CX contact info, recent transaction history, and consent status.
So you get a golden enough profile.
A golden enough profile, exactly. And once you have that, you can move to audience segmentation of all customers. This means modeling behavior across the entire merged base.
But segmentation is useless if you can't act on it. What's next?
Number 6, omni-channel activation of personalized engagement. You need to be able to talk to these new combined segments across every channel, web, email, app, with a unified voice and message. Number 7 is about understanding behavior, understanding cross-entity customer journeys and driving engagement. We have to analyze how a customer moves between the services or products of the two original organizations to spot potential turn points or new buying patterns.
And finally, number 8, which makes sure that this priceless data isn't just locked away in some analytical dashboard where only executives can see it.
Exactly. It's about pushing customer 360 view analytics into relevant moments of experience across all divisions. The sales rep, the service agent, the e-commerce engine, they all need that holistic view in real time to provide a relevant interaction.
So if the agent knows the customer just placed a large order with the other division, the whole interaction changes.
Dramatically.
Achieving that data unity is clearly the engine for CLV. Now let's talk about the second part of CLV, customer retention and renewals. Before the M&A, customers had these distinct engagement models. How do you maintain their trust and prevent that mass attrition that so often plagues mergers?
The post-M&A strategy has to focus on a very delicate balance, and this addresses your question about speed. The goal is to build a unified underlying technology platform for efficiency, that common spine.
Okay.
However, this unification should be actively decoupled from the end customer experience, at least for a while, until the customer can adapt to the change.
So you're driving internal value from a common synergy standpoint like efficiency in invoicing without disrupting the customer's familiar interface too quickly.
That's the idea.
That decoupling idea is fascinating and critical. You're integrating the operational guts like inventory and pricing logic, but you're leaving the familiar face on the outside, the same customer portal, the same look of the invoice. For a grace period, it buys you time.
It manages the risk of perceived chaos. If the customer is used to a certain way of contracting or invoicing, changing that instantly, especially if the new unified system has some early bugs, might just trigger attrition.
So to manage retention and renewals effectively under this new model, the source material identifies 10 key technology domains that require synergy.
Yes, and we should dive into these.
10 domains. This really highlights the depth required beyond just, say, the CRM system.
It does. First, the foundational system, a core business model design platform driving the quote-to-cash process. This has to be common across both entities so you can define and offer products consistently.
Okay.
Second, a common subscriptions and renewals platform. If both companies offered subscription services, merging them is absolutely essential for consistent renewal notifications, pricing logic, and timely service provisioning.
The contractual and configuration side must also converge rapidly.
Indeed. Third, flexible monetization and offer configuration. This allows the merged entity to build those new hybrid solutions we talked about. Fourth, common customer and partner contract management. And fifth, the critical common configuration, pricing, and quoting CPQ platform.
Let's pause on CPQ, configure, price, quote. For those who aren't steeped in sales tech, why is unifying this system so essential, so immediately post-M&A?
Well, CPQ tools are the engine that ensures sales can create accurate quotes for complex products and do it quickly. Post-merger, the product catalog is suddenly twice as complex, and the potential for offering complementary products that cross-sell is huge.
So if sales reps are still using two different CPQ systems,
They will generate inconsistent pricing, they'll risk non-compliant configurations, and they will lose customer trust immediately. Unifying CPQ provides immediate guardrails for the newly merged sales force.
and the back-end financial process also has to converge for a clean customer interaction. This is where that decoupling often gets difficult, right? The invoice is a very physical, visible manifestation of the merger.
It is the moment of truth.
That's item.
Section 7, convergence of invoicing and financing process, and a common partner revenue management platform if you have channel partners involved.
Because if a customer starts receiving two wildly different invoices for services from the same parent company, their confidence just plummets.
It does. And item 8 focuses on governance. A single entitlements management system. So what service is the customer actually allowed to receive based on their complex contract?
And the last 2 points seem to focus on listening and acting.
Exactly. Item 9 is enabling voice of customer and customer success programs. You have to actively solicit feedback and use customer success managers to proactively manage the post-merger change.
And finally,
Item 10, renewals and retention insights, analytics, and cross-application workflow activation. This means using that new golden profile data to predict which customers are most likely to churn and then deploying automated workflows to try and save them.
when you look at those 10 points, they're all about making the transaction process invisible and consistent for the customer, and it's all powered by that unified data platform.
That's right.
So achieving success in CLV is about operational consistency driven by data unity. It manages retention risk while simultaneously enabling future growth.
And if you fail on these 10 points, you'll lose customers faster than you can acquire them, which negates all of those financial projections.
Okay, so we've stabilized and maximized the existing customer base through data consolidation. Now let's shift our focus to synergy goal number 2, driving net new sales growth.
Right.
Here's where that expanded customer database meets the market. How does the combined entity capitalize on all these new sales opportunities?
This is where MarTech, or marketing technology, starts driving accelerated growth. With that unified data access, the robust CDMP we just discussed, the marketing organization can leverage its full MarTech stack on the holistic merged base.
Enabling highly targeted acquisition and cross-sell campaigns that were just impossible before.
Exactly, and the sources stress that the game has fundamentally changed in marketing. It's no longer about just broadcasting, it's about connecting.
The old paradigm of mass email blasts or wide segment campaigns is obsolete, and frankly, it's just annoying to the customer.
It is. Marketing has to be personal and targeted to the individual prospective customer. The synergy power, post-M&A, comes from the ability to identify these previously hidden, really valuable common customer segments across the previously separate entities.
So it's not just about having more names, it's about having more data points per name, which allows for true precision.
Precisely. Your MarTech stack needs powerful big data modeling capability at the segmentation level. This means layering all these diverse data types, demographic, financial, social media, customer journey data, experiential data, all into the same segmentation model. This deep layering is how you crack the code for net new sales growth.
Let's use that illustrative example from the source material, the automotive context, to make this powerful data merger really concrete.
Okay, so imagine two companies merge. One specializes in luxury sedans, let's call it Company A, and the other in performance trucks and SUVs, Company B.
Okay.
Before the merger, they knew their own customers intimately. But post-merger, the combined entity can create these microsegments based on shared attributes that were previously completely invisible.
So give us an example of a specific high-value microsegment you could build now that you couldn't before.
You could identify a segment that previously bought a high-end sedan from Company A, but whose service records from Company B show high financial spend on aftermarket parts for their second vehicle, say, a utility truck.
Wow.
And you could further filter this by customers who have a similar high propensity to churn from their current sedan, a similar duration of car ownership, and a high predictive score for buying a new product in the next 2 years.
That's an incredibly powerful combination. You're cross-referencing luxury purchasing behavior with, what, performance or utility service behavior?
Yes, that cluster of data, behavior, and purchasing power across both legacy customer bases, that is the definition of synergy in market targeting. That customer isn't just a sedan owner anymore. They're a multi-vehicle enthusiast with specific segmented spending habits.
And that combined data set lets you target these specific value groups with incredible accuracy.
You can now market a new performance luxury SUV that combines the best of both companies directly to that microsegment, which was completely unreachable before the merger. Once that advanced big data modeling segmentation engine is running, the rest of the MarTech process becomes easier. Campaign and content management, flow-based customer journey execution, and ANIL-driven automated execution of marketing triggers.
So data unity drives marketing precision, but marketing hands off to sales. How do we ensure the unified yet flexible lead-to-cash streamlined process actually delivers on that upselling and cross-selling promise in the field?
Well, the problem isn't the opportunity. Upselling and cross-selling are the obvious financial benefits. The real problem is the friction.
Right.
You have a wider range of products to offer to a single customer, and you reap economies of scale from a common sales group.
Yeah.
However, we have to acknowledge the four big organizational challenges that emerge when two sales organizations come together.
And if these aren't managed, all that MarTech precision just goes to waste. So what are the organizational hurdles that must be overcome? The ones that often lead to sales attrition.
Okay, first, disparate selling systems. Everything from sales automation, CPQ, ERP, sales pipeline analytics, and commission systems are likely different, and they don't talk to each other.
A technical mess.
A total mess. Second, disparate selling motions and sales methodologies. People are trained differently, they have different regional expectations, and they expect to sell in different ways. Forcing a unified methodology too quickly can lead to immediate fierce resistance.
And the knowledge gap about the new portfolio, that must be massive.
That's the third challenge. Disparate product groups and one sales organization not being aware of the other organization's product and services portfolio. It takes a significant amount of time and expense to train a sales force on a whole new catalog of technical specifications, entitlements, and use cases.
And the fourth, which is maybe the hardest to fix.
Disparate sales culture. Sales culture is deeply ingrained, from the compensation structure to the perceived prestige of certain products.
If these aren't handled wisely, the source warns this can be highly disruptive. It leads not just to morale issues, but to significant sales attrition and critically damaging customer relationships when the sales rep seems confused or ill-informed.
Absolutely. The sales organization lives under intense quarter-to-quarter pressure. They need agility and quick wins. If the M&A process makes it harder to sell anything, they will look elsewhere, or they will simply fail to maintain existing customer relationships, which impacts revenue and renewal rates. Agility and minimum friction are paramount here.
So what are the actionable, quicker technology deployment suggestions that can relieve some of the pain of a post-M&A selling motion? We need tactical tools that can bridge the gap while the cultural integration catches up.
We have three excellent suggestions from the sources, and it starts with a foundation. A Customer 360 analytics platform.
Always start with the customer data, breaking down those silos.
The last thing you want is two different salespersons calling on the same customer contact, each one ignorant of the other's ongoing contracts, previous interactions, or unresolved service tickets. A powerful analytics platform that provides a common Customer 360 view immediately starts breaking down the internal silos and protects that customer relationship.
And helps management, too.
For sure. Merged sales pipeline analytics help leadership spot common trends, identify opportunities for cross-sell, and identify potential risks of big deal slippages based on the combined history.
That visibility is a quick win for management and drastically reduces embarrassment for the sales rep. What's the next key technological assist?
Guided selling and a common CPQ. We touched on CPQ earlier, but here's its true strategic value. Harmonizing the entire CRM or sales methodology can be slow and painful, but if you implement a common engine for guided selling, a rules-based system that helps the sales rep choose the right product combination and leverage a common configure price, quote, solution, you eliminate a huge amount of friction for the sales reps.
So the technology is essentially doing the heavy lifting of product knowledge for them.
Precisely. It ensures consistent pricing, consistent offers, and consistent product configurations, relieving the pressure from all the disparate product models or entitlements that exist in the back end. It provides guardrails while the sales teams sort out their cultural differences and learn the new combined portfolio.
And finally, helping them master that increased portfolio complexity. They need knowledge at their fingertips.
That's sales enablement and content management. Since the sales portfolio complexity increases so dramatically post-M&A, supporting sales reps with a high-quality enablement system is critical for accelerating their time to speed.
And this is more than just a shared drive of PDFs.
Oh yeah, if you blend in an adaptive, intelligent, personalized content management system, sales reps can instantly leverage the right content training modules, case studies, pricing sheets, and context to an active opportunity. This accelerates effectiveness, especially in complex sales portfolios. These three moves are high impact and relatively quicker to deploy than, say, trying to harmonize every ERP instance immediately.
So we've covered maximizing the current base with CLV and accelerating net new acquisition through sales growth. That brings us to the third and final pillar of synergy, the future-facing strategic goal.
This is the strategic long game, where the combined entity uses its new capacity and scale to create value beyond just its existing products. But first, they have to complete what is arguably the most operationally challenging integration: harmonizing cross-business unit services offering.
This goes back to the expectation we discussed earlier. The customer doesn't care if they bought from company A or company B. They expect a single, unified, homogeneous service experience from the combined entity. If I buy hardware from one and software from the other, I need a single point of contact for service. Period.
Absolutely. Therefore, it becomes imperative to set up a task force immediately post-M&A to harmonize the technology systems pertaining to end-to-end service. This harmonization is arguably the most complex because service systems are so often highly customized to the specific products and supply chains of the legacy companies.
So what are the critical service domains that typically have disparate systems that need urgent harmonization? This list looks expensive, and I imagine each item represents dozens of potential failure points.
It is, because service touches everything from the call center to the parts warehouse. We need to unify omnichannel service engagement, making sure the experience is the same, whether it's via phone, apps, chat, or social media. We need a unified approach to the call center and customer service agents, and unified self-service portals, which rely on a single shared knowledge management and content system.
And then there's the actual physical delivery of service, especially for companies that deal with physical assets.
That means unifying field service operations, including technician scheduling and dispatch, and service asset management, tracking what assets the customer owns and where they're located. For physical products, you need a common approach to aftermarket service parts and accessories, logistics, and consistent management of service entitlements.
What about for high-tech or connected products?
Then unifying systems for remote monitoring and service support is crucial to enable proactive rather than reactive service.
And the logistical headache that supports the service team out in the field.
Yes, that includes service logistics and fulfillment, service installed base installations and repair, and a unified system for returns management. If a customer needs to return a complex piece of equipment, they shouldn't have to navigate two separate shipping processes.
Right.
And finally, the measurement systems need to converge. Common standards for service level agreements, SLAs, unified metrics for service customer satisfaction, consistent service voice of customer and customer feedback intake, and unified service analytics to spot trends.
That level of harmonization is huge. But what is the crucial CX payoff? Why is service unification so important to the synergy goal beyond just making the customer happy?
The payoff is twofold and directly financial. From an operating margin efficiency standpoint, we know it is always more beneficial to retain an existing customer than to go out and acquire a new one.
Okay.
Harmonizing and unifying the service experience is the critical aspect that ensures that retention. It turns a one-time product sale into a long-term revenue stream.
And the second, more strategic part.
Success here allows the service organization to convert from a traditional reactive cost center into a proactive revenue-generating organization. By mastering the service delivery chain, by becoming incredibly efficient at providing unified, high-quality service, the merged entity can then create valuable new service offerings, driving that accelerated top line and operating margin growth that justifies the entire M&A in the first place.
And that feeds directly into the second part of this pillar, adopting a holistic solution business model. The source described organizations differentiating themselves by moving toward a solution-centric engagement, often driven by subscriptions, rather than just selling discrete products.
This is the modern evolution of scale. Instead of selling a physical product and then maybe an add-on service, you sell an outcome, often bundled as a subscription.
So instead of selling a piece of machinery, you sell uptime or production capacity.
Exactly. And from an M&A standpoint, adopting this model requires deep immediate integration of the back-end systems that support recurring revenue.
It sounds like adopting the holistic solution business model is the ultimate expression of M&A synergy because it requires that every single piece of the front and back office, from marketing segmentation to entitlements management, has already been successfully unified.
It absolutely does. If you haven't solved the campaign to cash and service problem to resolution problems, you cannot successfully launch a new complex solution business model. To support this new model, we need harmony across offer, product, and solution modeling and pricing. You have to be able to price and package these bundles consistently across the merged entity. This feeds into order orchestration, which has to handle complex bundled orders involving components from both legacy companies.
And then the financial backend needs to manage these recurring revenue streams, which are much more complex than one-time transactions.
Absolutely. We need integration across, commissions for the sales teams selling these new models, revenue management to track the financial inflows, billing and invoicing to present a single, clean bill to the customer, and the legally required revenue recognition processes.
Which must be a challenge.
It's a deep challenge. Since subscription revenue is recognized over time, not upfront, merging two different financial reporting systems here is very difficult. All this feeds into the consistent management of recurring services and entitlement management. But developing this holistic model is what allows the combined company to scale new offerings and fulfillment to customers in a way that was literally impossible when the two entities were operating separately. It turns combined capacity into guaranteed future revenue.
So let's bring this back to the big picture. We spent a lot of time detailing the tactical requirements. What does this all mean for the executive or manager overseeing this process?
It means that the success of M&A synergy, when you view it through the customer lens, isn't just a simple financial calculation performed on spreadsheets. It is a detailed operational plan across people, process, and technology that has to start immediately after the deal closes.
It's a blueprint for action.
It is. And it dictates that technology integration isn't an option, it's a necessary prerequisite for financial synergy.
We saw how focusing on data unity, that CDMP and the golden profile drives, increased CLV by enabling precision retention. We looked at how targeted MarTech strategies and streamlined technology like common CPQ platforms drive net new sales growth by enabling agile, consistent selling motions.
And we established how harmonized service delivery is the key to both customer retention and enabling new lucrative service and solution revenue streams.
Right.
The core takeaway is crystal clear. Technology integration, especially around customer data and front office systems, has to be done strategically, with the customer always in mind. You have to maintain current customer satisfaction by keeping the familiar external customer experience, the face consistent, while quietly but quickly building the unified technology backbone, the spine, that's required for long-term efficiency and cross-entity growth.
This strategy of maintaining the external customer experience while unifying the internal technology spine is crucial for retention during those early, chaotic phases of M&A integration. But that delicate balance can't last forever.
No, it can't.
The moment customers realize the combined entity is just two separate companies operating under one logo, the perceived value collapses.
Which raises an important and I think provocative question for you, the listener, to explore. We've established that decoupling unified technology from the immediate customer experience is key to successful retention post-M&A. But if speed is paramount in sales, and customers expect immediate benefits from the merger, how long is too long to maintain the illusion of separation before the customer starts demanding the truly seamless, integrated experience the merged entity promised? What balance should the organization strike between protecting retention today and rushing the final visible integration tomorrow? That is something for you to mull or explore on your own.